joining me on today's webinar. The topic today is effective marketing. It was announced as a new series of webinars. It's a continuation of webinars I've been running for a while, but with a new focus, and now we're going to be focused on entrepreneurship out there. So ongoing, we plan on having a webinar every month, and you get to spend an hour with me listening to me on the topic of entrepreneurship. My total focus is to very much help you to develop and grow your business. So I'm really about starting a business from next to nothing and growing it big. I very get opposed to people that are working in their business, slaves to their business. I'm trying to unlock you from slavery, getting you out there and thinking about your business in a different sense, about delegating it down, getting other people to do it. So it's giving you two things. It's giving you a good source of income every week and the time and freedom to choose how you spend your time. And that's my total focus when I work with people and helping them do that. To do that, to grow your business bigger, you've got to be disruptive, you've got to be different. If you're doing it the same as everybody else, you're a copycat. If you're a copycat, you'll end up being just a slave to your business. To get out and surge ahead of the so-called competition, or in most cases the alternatives the customers have got to spend the money on, you've got to be disruptive, you've got to be different, you've got to come up with a better proposition in your industry. So I hope you get I hope to get you on the leading edge. That's my total goal. It's the goal of my tours when I run them, is to try and get everybody on the leading edge of where the opportunities are today. So to cover a little bit about me, a little bit of background about me before we just dive into the marketing side of things. I'm what they call a serial entrepreneur. A lot of serial entrepreneurs are people that have started lots of businesses, and the reason I've started a lot of businesses is because they're failures. I actually own quite a few successful businesses, and my Mini Movers, which I've had nearly 30 years, of course, is a very successful business. So I'm a serial entrepreneur who's running successful businesses, as opposed to the average serial entrepreneur who's a serial entrepreneur by virtue of the fact that every business he's tried has failed. That doesn't mean to say I haven't had any failures. I'm all about experimenting and trying to learn by going forward. So a lot of things I try don't work. That's fine, that's what I do. As long as I don't get the farm and lose the whole lot, that's the main thing. I'm also a bootstrapper, and a bootstrapper means that fundamentally I can start a business with next to no money and fund it from within. So, you know, the points are that I'm always looking for opportunities that can be developed into solutions that people can buy. That's what a business is. I start with little or no capital investment. I avoid borrowing. I'm very much about minimising risk. I fund and force growth from within from my cash flow. I try and do it in a very clever way to avoid a tax issue. You know, if you have a good profit in your first year and you go and buy a capital item with that, you create a massive great cash flow problem with the tax system. I'm aware of that, and we should all be aware of that, so I do it in such a way that I expense as much as I can. I experiment and systemise. That's how we all go forward in life. We are where we are, no matter how big or small we are. Going forward and taking the next step up is always about experimenting lots of things, most of which don't work, but then some of the things that do work and doing them more, and obviously then systemising so other people do it. And that's really my mantra of being an entrepreneur. As a matter of interest, I believe that I'm 80% focused on product and people, and only 20% focused on money, which is the opposite to corporate thinking, and it's the opposite to the way they teach business. I think getting a customer, having a product and getting a customer is the fundamentals of all businesses. Counting money and all the reporting and all the stuff that goes with it, you can hire somebody else to do all that. So your accountants and bookkeepers and all those things. So being very skillful in counting money isn't going to grow your business. Being very skillful with product and people is going to grow your business. People going into business or in businesses often have excuses, and those excuses really don't stack up anymore. I think the idea that you need money to make money is an absolute myth. The reality is that's not the reality to me. I started Mini Movers at $200 in a ute. Most of my other businesses I've started with next to nothing and just growing it off the cash flow. The whole idea that you come up with a business idea, you develop a plan, then you take an awful lot of money, often somebody else's money, and you invest it to get a return on investment, is not really the reality of most small businesses. The idea that business is risky is also a myth. I think working for somebody on wages is very risky nowadays. I think that when you're working for somebody on wages, you can lose your job overnight, and then you've got no way of doing your income. Most business owners can't lose their income overnight. If they're going broke, it's going to happen slowly but surely, and they've got plenty of time to do something about it. So I actually think working on wages is a lot riskier than owning a business. You need to be smart. I don't believe for 1 second I'm smart. I've got gumption and I try and I do things. I think that's more important than so-called intelligence, if intelligence is about being smart. Street smart, yes, I think you need to be street smart, but not smart in what you're doing. I'm lucky. There is a degree of luck, I must admit that, but gee, I tried a lot of things till I found the thing that works, so one has to wonder how much luck comes into it. You need the knowledge. You know what, most of the businesses that I'm involved in now, I have no idea how the product works or what it's about. I can share this with Mini Movers. I know very little about the day-to-day operational side of Mini Movers today. We have a gigantic computer program that's running it all. And I was in the call center yesterday looking at what they were doing. What most people don't realise is I have no idea how to open that computer program or put anything into any of the screens. I don't know anything about the internal process of my business. I've got other people that I pay to build and do those. Yes, conceptually I sit in meetings and say this is where we're going, this is what we need to build, and then other people go and do it all. I don't have the knowledge. I also don't know how to move furniture, by the way, which is our core product. And most of the businesses I own, I don't know that side of it. That to me is not really important. You can hire people to do those things. You need a business plan. Look, I don't know that you need a plan in the sense of a formal structured plan that covers all the points of your business. I think those days are gone. I think things are rapidly changing too fast for that. You do need a strategy. You need a very clear-cut strategy where you're going and how you're going to get, and an idea how you're going to get there. You definitely need that. As far as being a structured plan, I question the formal plans. I don't think you really need that. You just need some strategies around how you're going to get there and execute to the strategy. You don't have time. None of us have got time. We're always full. All of us, our time's full. But what we need to do is learn how to prioritise our time. We need to learn what's important and not important. You know, today I'm living in the Philippines, and I have 4 personal staff attached to me. I have a housekeeper that does all my cooking and washing and cleaning. I have a driver who drives my car, does nothing but drive my car. Why do I have those people? To free myself up from all those time restraints, which allows me to spend my time on other things that I want to do. So I think time is a thing that you need to learn to manage, and if you can manage time by getting other people to do the normal things, and it ranges that's when you're going to get growth. You get growth because you delegate down as many things as you can that you don't need to do, and that generates the time into a more productive way. The reality, they're all excuses, of course, and everybody has lots of excuses for not doing things. The reality is that you really believe in what you're repeatedly told. And unfortunately in our society we're being told all the time you can't do that, you can't do that. And we end up believing it. If you hear something repeated over and over again, it becomes a core belief inside you and believe that. And if you're being told constantly you can't do that, you'll believe that. The reality is that you go where you aim, and if you know anything about how I started my business, when I moved myself from being a business manager to an entrepreneur, which was in my 30s when I started Mini Movers, it was all about where I aimed. My first business I went into because I wanted to be my own boss, and I achieved that, working 90 hours a week, earning the same amount of money as my staff. My next business that I went into, which was Mini Movers, I wanted to earn a crap load of money and not have to work, and that was my aim. That's where I headed for, and there was a lifestyle behind that driving me towards it, and that's where I ended. So you do end up where you aim. I think a lot of you would want to think through carefully where you're aiming, because I meet a lot of people, I help mentor a lot of people, and to be honest with you, I believe most people are aiming too low. Dreaming is good. You can dream all you like. Plenty of people got dreams, but until you really develop that into a vision, a clear-cut vision, then you're really not going to be able to head towards something. And the clear-cut vision for me in Mini Movers, believe it or not, is a perfect job that we do. And we have a perfect job for a perfect customer. When you join Mini Movers, a video today tells me, we have a video of me telling the story of the perfect job and the perfect customer, and that's where we're heading. That's the vision, the clear vision that we want to, where we want to go. I think you need to understand why you're in business. I think a lot of people don't, as I shared with you earlier. In my early days, in my 20s, when I owned a business that I was working 90 hours a week into, my problem was I didn't understand why. I didn't understand really what I wanted my business to do for me. I didn't know why I was in business. And I'm in business because I want to have a hell of a high income every week and the freedom to choose how I spend my time. That's my why. I don't know what yours is. But once again, I meet a lot of people and talk to them, and they really struggle with this why. Why are you doing this? And sometimes I think their passions are a little bit offline for actual business. Often people have an absolute passion around the product or what they're doing, but that's not a passion around the business. And I think if you get around the passion around the business, you'll grow it more than if you have a passion around the actual product that you're doing. Start with the need. Forget about what you know, forget your trade. That's another big secret being in business. I've grown good businesses because I have no idea what I was doing, and because I didn't know what I was doing, because I didn't come from that background of that, I did it differently. And many moves was classic. I started a company doing short distance furniture moving without any idea what I was doing at all, and I just used common sense to come up with solutions for the customers, and what we did for the customers was very different. And because it was very different, it was attractive and we grew the business. Now, if I'd come from a removal background, I would have done it the way I knew to do it, and that would have trapped me into it. So, you know, start with the need, forget about your trade, focus on the need, which is a better way of doing it. Look, no matter where we are in life, it doesn't matter what size business we are, it doesn't matter if we're pre-business, we have extremely large, what most people would think is an extremely large business. To go forward, it's all about conceiving ideas, lots of them, testing them in an affordable way, measuring the response, and then most things don't work. For the things that do work, you duplicate it and do it more. For the things that don't work, you've got to figure out, are they dead and do you kill them off? Or are they just wounded and you just need to fix them up so that we can carry on? Make that decision, take action and do it. So you're conceiving ideas, you're testing in an affordable way, you measure the response and you duplicate it. And the other thing you need to do is develop the better alternative. That's about being disruptive, as I said earlier. You need to have a better product, better delivery, better product, better delivery. And the mantra inside most of my businesses today is all about trying to, how can we improve the product, how can we deliver it better? How can we improve the product? How can we deliver it better? Because if you're on the leading edge, if you're the best at what you do, it is going to work through the word of mouth stuff that I'm about to talk about, and will deliver more and more clients to you. Use simple common sense marketing, and this webinar in a minute is about to go off and talk about marketing. We need to keep our feet on the ground. Look, I believe marketing has got a little bit lost. Yes, the world's changed. Yes, there are new things out there. Yes, there's this thing out there called social media. I've never seen so much banter in amongst small businesses there is nowadays, focused on one part of the business equation. And the reason I wanted to run today's webinar around marketing is to bring it back and start thinking about the fundamentals of marketing. They still work. So yes, you deliver them in a slightly different way because of social media, but you're still going to have those fundamentals right. And once you're going, then you need to systemize everything you do and employ to a strategy. For those of you who have been with me before on these webinars, you'll know that in most of my businesses, I only employ completely unskilled people, or inexperienced, sorry, not unskilled, inexperienced people, and then train them to do it my way. I have a very clear strategy around that. It lets me wrap my businesses up fast, and it means that everybody in the business is rowing in my direction because I gave them the direction to row in. So what I want to do is I want to talk about marketing from an interesting point of view. I want you to think very carefully about what you're selling, and I can tell you that there are fundamentally two things that you can sell. Either a product, something that you can hold and touch and look at, or time. Okay? And most of us, particularly in the service sector, are all selling time. And a lot of people coming near me and for mentoring and stuff, they're all selling time. So today I'm only going to talk about selling time. a lot of the principles for selling time also work with selling an item, with selling a product, but I'm going to talk about selling time. Now, time's very interesting. You know, accountants, bookkeepers, removalists, IT businesses, all these businesses sell time. You're buying time from them. And the problem with time is you can't touch it and feel it to assess the value. And just after I started my mini movers business almost 30 years ago, we did a bit of market research, and we basically went out and we asked people how they found out about a service they just used. And to our astonishment, we discovered that 90% of people, when they want to buy a time-based product, ask somebody, as opposed to 10% who go to paid advertising. Now, the best way for me to demonstrate this would be to have a room full of business people and ask in the room who has an accountant, and every single hand will go up. Then you say, okay, when you found the accountant that you've got now, right, when you found that accountant, you're obviously looking to change your accountant, or you wanted to change your accountant. When you found that accountant, how many people went to Yellow Pages or Mr. Google, put an accountant and went hunting for an accountant? And you'll get a smattering of hands going up. You'll get very few. In fact, you'll get about 10% probably. And then you say, well, okay, well, how many of you, when you found the accountant you've got today, actually asked your friends, your business colleagues, your bank manager, other people in business in some form, do you know a good accountant? And every hand, or 90% of the hands in the audience will go up. So think about that very carefully. If you have an accountancy business, which is time-based, and 90% of your clients, when they're looking for you, ask somebody, how should you market that business? Because advertising is only attracting 10% of your potential clients. Do it again slowly. Paid advertising or advertising is only attracting 10% of your clients. 90% of your clients are coming at you from word of mouth or recommendation. So if you look at word of mouth and recommendation, you look at it carefully, there are 5 different things that I believe you need to address to maximize that the recommendation or word of mouth. To maximize the 90% of your target audience, their behavior, there are 5 things you need to do. So the very first thing you need to do is to have a memorable name. It's absolutely, totally vital that you have a memorable name. I can point to very clearly businesses that have failed, and they've failed because the name of the business is not memorable. It really is different. So I've got 7 different things you need to consider with your business name. And the very first rule, and watch the language at the start of these sentences here, the very first rule is it must be memorable. It's got to be memorable. It must be memorable. And it was a huge advantage to us with mini movers that by accident we glued 2 4-letter words together, and a 4 and a 5-letter word together. We glued 2 words together that rhymed, that were easy to say, and you could recall them later. So one of the big advantages with mini movers has been that if you use our services and we make an impression on you, 6 months, 12 months, 2 years later, when you're at a barbecue and somebody says they're moving, you can actually recall the name of my business. And that's a huge, huge advantage that you have considering the behaviour of your clients in the marketplace. The next step is it should say, so it's not essential, absolutely essential, but it's a good idea if it doesn't. It should say what you do, okay? It's a real big help if the name of your business says what you do. It's a big help with marketing. It gives another message. Having your name just out there also says what you do is a good message. You know, how many times do you see a business name and go, well, that's cute, I wonder what they do? So it should say what you do. The third thing you need to really consider is it's helpful. It's helpful, so it's not essential. So it's not a must. It's not a should. It's a helpful thing. It's helpful if it says why they should use you, right? And I can share this with you that my name, Mini Movers, is quite wrong from this point of view because it kind of indicates I have small trucks. It was a mistake we made with our move, and probably tell you that Easy Movers would have been probably a better name for my business because Easy Movers says what we do and why you should use us. Unfortunately, we didn't get that bit right. We did learn that later on when we started playing with other businesses in other areas. So it's helpful if it says why they should use you. There is a consideration around perception of the name, the image that creates when you see your name, and I can share with you that it's Mini Movers is not franchised. I own all the trucks and employ everybody and train them all. There is a perception, of course, that business is a franchise operation, and there is no doubt that there are a part of the market who would have a preference to using a franchise business. They probably expect the franchise business to be a little bit more expensive, but they also know that they're probably more reliable and will provide a better service. I understand that market perception, and it's not by accident that Mini Movers looks like a franchise operation. So we've developed our brand with a perception of something that's attractive to the market. So you need to understand that perception and the image that you're going to create around the brand. A friendly URL helps. In fact, I'd suggest that more than friendly nowadays, it's important that you have your URL for your business name. I think today it's extremely important that you own it in .com.au and .com. I think you need to do that. I think if you can start a business with follows those rules above and it's got the .com.au and the .com version available, that's a big, big advantage. Not essential, but it's just a big advantage if you can do that. Another thing you need with a business name is it needs to be short overall in length and easy to spell and not a misspelling. So if it was going to be Easy Movers, it would be EASY Movers, M-O-V-E-R-S, not E-Z-I Movers. And the reason for that is really simple, and that's the point it says in point 7. It's absolutely vital today that you can say your business name. Whoever hears that business name then can go and type it in Google and find you. Now, I can't help but stress this, because if word of mouth is the main source of your business, when somebody says use so-and-so, that person that hears that needs to be able to go away and type it into Google and find you. And therefore, if you use some sort of creative misspelling or something like that, it's going to make it a lot harder. It really is, so it's important. And the last point, of course, is test, test, test. Show your business names to strangers, preferably not your target market, please. Your friends, and you don't forget your relatives and your friends are probably not the biggest help for you in business. Go to your target market, direct to the target market, ask them what they think the business does, what their impressions are, and what questions they have. So if the first one's a memorable name, the second point I think you need to consider when you're looking at your business is your product's really got to suit the need. The product that you have really has to suit the need in the market. You've got to be providing something in a way that really suits the need. A word of caution here, be careful about giving people what they want. Sometimes what they want is not the best thing for them. And in the long term, you're better off giving them what they need, even if it's not what they want. And to explain that to you a little bit more cautiously, as many of you will be aware, 28 odd years, 30 years ago, I probably invented, if not I definitely developed, hourly rate local moving. The issue that we have with the hourly rate local moving service, and we still have it a little bit today, is a lot of people don't want that. A lot of people actually want a fixed price quotation. The reality is that a fixed price quotation is a lot more expensive than an hourly rate local move. And all fixed price quotations have in them clauses that say if things go wrong, if access is particularly difficult, if you hold them up because you haven't got any keys, if there's massive great traffic hold-ups or whatever there is, they can actually change the fixed price quotation, because they don't allow in fixed price quotations for those things that they haven't, over which they have no control. So the reality is that an hourly rate is by far the better way to move, but most of my clients didn't want that. They wanted a fixed price quotation. So when they rang us on the phone and we'd say we do an hourly rate, they go, no, we don't want to do that. We want a fixed price quotation, and away they would go. We were not giving clients what they wanted, but we were certainly giving them what they needed. For the few clients that did agree to the hourly rate, when we went out and did the job and we produced the job in a certain way, they went, wow, that's amazing. And they became raving fans, and they went off telling everybody about us because we had something that was really cool and really neat. And it's something that really suited their need. Even though they originally didn't want it, it suited their need. And that generated the work. That wow factor generated the work. So I get a little bit edgy nowadays when some people with new products come to me and say, look, we've done a whole lot of market search. This is what the market wants. And I go, well, just be careful, because what they want may not be what they really need, and you should really give them what they need as opposed to what they want. So think very carefully of that. Think about the need. What is the need in the market? You know, my need was very simple. They needed a simple, fast, easy way to move that was low fuss and that was low price, and that was what we needed, and it was honest and could be dished up and was highly reliable. That's what the need was that we addressed as we grew the Mini Movers business, and as I said, most of my other businesses have those same sort of things going around it. The other thing you need to understand is you need to deliver whatever you're doing in a wow way. You've got to deliver it in a way that exceeds the expectation, and expectations are an interesting thing. Expectations are in you. You have them. We are all judgmental. And that judgmental part of us tells us what we expect. And if we get more than we expect, we're happy. If we get less than what we expect, we're not happy. Best story I've got to demonstrate this is I want you to sit back and just imagine that tomorrow night you're going to go into your city nearby, city wherever you are, and you're going to stay at the Hyatt Hotel with your partner. You're going, and your partner in life, you're going to go and have a beautiful night out in the Hyatt Hotel. And Hyatts are all 5-star hotels, obviously, and you're probably going to pay maybe $300 a night for a room in the Hyatt Hotel at the moment in most places. And you've got that in the mind, $300, Hyatt Hotel, and you're going to have a night out. Now, I can tell you that inside you, you have an idea of what they're going to be like. You're going to arrive in this hotel foyer that's got beautiful glass and maybe marble, and or very modern, very switched on. It's going to be quiet and reserved. People are going to handle you at the desk very promptly. They're going to take you up to the room, show you around, and make sure you're right. The room's going to have a big bed in it. It's going to, the lights are going to be nice, maybe a little bit of music playing in the background. If you go out for dinner, that'll be fine. When you come back from dinner, the bed will be turned down, little chocolates will be put out for you. You have that expectation. It's the Hyatt Hotel, you're spending $300 a night. Because I want you to think about the next night, I want you to go out to a country town like in Australia, Goondiwindi. Go out to Goondiwindi and stay in the Goondiwindi motel for $60 a night. Same product. Goondiwindi motel, $60 a night. You know what? You all automatically formed an expectation. You can almost picture the Goondiwindi motel. It'll be high set or low set brick. You'll park out the front of the unit. The guy checking in will probably be friendly. He'll be cool. He'll come down and chat to you. If he's clever, he'll chat to you and find out what you're doing, and if you're travelling through or whatever. He may even ask you if you're actually going to make a cup of tea, and if you mention that you are, he may come running out shortly after and give you a little jug with real fresh milk in it instead of the UHT or powdered milk that they have. And if he wants to blow your socks off and really impress you, he'll wash your window screen at 2 o'clock in the morning while you're asleep in the unit, and you'll come out and your window screen will all be nicely washed with a little note on it pointing out that he washed your window screen. And you'll go, that's amazing, that's fantastic. And you'll tell everybody about this wonderful motel with the great service. Your word of mouth will go up. Why? Because he simply exceeded what you expected, and your expectation came from a brand name, Goondiwindi Motel, and a price, $60. Those two things gave you an expectation of what you were going to get. When you went to the Hyatt Hotel, brand name, with a price, $300, your expectation was entirely different. And indeed, what the Goondiwindi Motel had to do to impress you was nothing like what the Hyatt Hotel has to do to impress you. And both of them have to impress you. Both of them have to exceed what you thought you were going to get for you to go around raving about them and generating more work for them. And just this day and age, that's really important because people are sharing these things now on a more open platform. If you're in accommodation, of course, you've got TripAdvisor, you've got social media, and they're all sharing bad things and good things. And as business owners, we've got to be sitting down going, you know what, we want a lot more better people raving about us out there than the odd one or two that we're going to get who are going to be upset and say bad things about us. Because bad news travels rather rapidly nowadays, so you need to try and drown the bad news with really good news stories. So you're going, okay, well, if that's the case, how do I start a business if 90% of them is going to come from something I haven't even done yet? Well, the way to do that, in my opinion, is to start with what I call friends of your business. Friends of your business are quite simply the people that are near you, just before you buy. And consumer behaviour in just about all of your businesses, just before they make a decision to buy you, are near another service or another product. And if you can position yourself there and get them to refer you or talk about you or recommend you, then that's where you're going to get your initial business from. And that's a big secret to the service industry. The big secret to the industry is cultivate the friends of your business. Those people out there that can give you multiple ongoing customers over and over again. And I don't think it would be any secret to say that in the moving industry, that would be the real estate industry, that most people just before they need to move have been near a real estate industry of some sort. And of course, if I can get the whole real estate industry carrying on about how wonderful we are, we get a lot of work and a lot of new customers, and then we turn those customers into giving us more customers. So that's the sort of thing I'm talking about. Think very carefully, what are the behaviours of my clients, my customers, and just before they're ready for me, where are they, what are they seeing, where they're touching, because that's the place to position your marketing or your processes to generate your new customers. The fifth one, because I kept saying there were 5 and there's actually only 4 on my list at that stage, is the relatively new animal in town, which is social media. And I want you to think about social media from a different perspective than what you've been thinking about it from. Think about it from the point of view that it's about commenting, it's about entertaining, and it's about informing. So in these open platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and all those type of things, you can comment about things and be noticed. You can be entertaining and be noticed, or you can be informative and be noticed. So that's a different way of doing it. And why are you doing that? Well, the whole process you're doing through this, everything I've talked about has got one goal and one goal only. That is to get people to talk about you. The more you can get people to talk about you and your business, the more business you're going to get. So I think that through very, very carefully. That's the marketing processes that I use in the background, the way I think when I start building my marketing processes. I'm all about getting raving people to carry on that they're wonderful, referred to me. So the vast majority of the clients that are contacting me have been pre-sold. They don't call anybody else. They've been told by a lot of people that we're wonderful, and they just simply are saying, oh, you're wonderful, please, can you do it, can you do it, can you do it, which makes it so much easier to sell your product. So I'm going to move on now and change tack just a little bit. I'm going to talk about some interesting observations around here and some interesting thoughts. This is a picture that I actually took myself. I took it one day when I was driving from Brisbane to Sydney. It's a very small coastal town right on the sea. That is the sea in the background there. And there were 2 scuba diving shops about probably 100 metres apart on the main street of this town, which is obviously fronting the beach or fronting the water. And both these shops sold scuba diving courses. And one very enterprising owner parked his ute outside at the front of his competitor's shop. So how'd you like to compete with this guy? And he's parked this out the front of your shop, and it says quite simply that the most expensive dive course in town, come in and ask why, with a question mark pointing down to the shop up the road. And it'd be horrible to have to try and compete against something like that. You can't beat him by price. He's inferring that he does a better course to you. And if you want to do a scuba diving course, are you going to go for the cheapest, or are you going to go for one that's going to teach you how to do it properly? And that's the inference there. But a very, very innovative, interesting way to market your products. It reminds me of a story many years ago, and it's a common story in the marketing areas. And for those who've heard it before, I apologise. But I think when you're thinking marketing, you've really got to think outside the box. You know, there's a small country town in Australia, and in that country town there's one hairdresser. He's been there for years. He's born and bred there. And he just cuts hairs, does haircuts. He charges $10 a haircut, been doing it for years. And one day, another hairdresser comes to town, an outsider, comes in, sets up hairdressing directly across the road, puts up a big sign, haircuts $5. What do you do? Well, I can tell you what he did. The guy that had been in town put up a big sign that says, "We fix $5 haircuts." And that's marketing. Marketing's about positioning yourself that you can charge probably a bit more, and they can see the value of why you're trying to charge a bit more. But think that story through. It's a good story. It's a story about positioning yourself with marketing. What about Bob? Imagine Bob being in your local area. Imagine Bob, how much Yellow Pages or Google advertising do you think Bob needs to do to get fencing jobs in your area? Do you think people in your area would talk about it? Do you think you'd notice his truck when his little truck when it's driving past you? Of course you would. You know, Viagra fencing, problems getting it up, Bob can erect it, and a phone number. Think about that really, really carefully. What's it doing? It's attracting the market. It's attracting attention. You attract attention to yourself. I don't care what you do. If you attract attention, it's the first rule of all market or all advertising is attract attention. It's good if you say what you do, and he does that. He says what he does. He says it in his name. It says why they should use you. There's some benefits there, right? It says who you are with a memorable name, and you do remember that name. It's just one of those things you'll laugh about it, you'll joke about it, you'll tell other people about it, probably even take a picture of it and stick it on Facebook, and it'll go viral on him. Who knows? And it says how to contact you. That's the fundamentals, or one of the big fundamentals of marketing, and you should understand that. So let's get on a little bit about advertising now a little bit. To me, advertising is not about branding. It really isn't. Now, branders out there will be having a blue fit now with me saying that. They really will. I've got to share with you that most of you are micro businesses or small businesses. It is very difficult for you to run an advertising campaign which is purely and only for branding. It really is difficult for you to do that. You need to be consistent with your brand to get it out and stuff like that, but you cannot run paid advertising just purely for branding. You'll find that is the road to disaster in advertising. What's advertising really about? Advertising really about is one thing and one thing only. It's about getting ready by customers to contact you. Ready by customers to contact you. That's what it's about. When you run an advertisement, you want ready by customers to contact you. Many years ago at Stone's Corner, there used to be a hardware store. The hardware store was called Santos Hardware. It's not there now. Unfortunately, they've changed things and the hardware industry's moved on. But it was there for many, many years, and it was a very, very successful store. There were other hardware stores around that had no customers. Santos Hardware was always full of lots of customers, and the head of the family, Mr. Santos, that used to run it, he was a very, very clever person. And what he used to do is he used to have this idea about running advertisements that attract potential customers. So what he used to do is, in those days we had the weekend shopper in the Courier Mail, and we had local newspapers with for sale things, and when we wanted to buy some things, a lot of people would go to these for sale columns. So he used to run one line advertisements in these newspaper publishers. And he'd run an advertisement that would say something like chainsaw, Stone's Corner with a phone number. Nothing else. Just chainsaw, Stone's Corner with a phone number. And or wheelbarrow, Stone's Corner with a phone number. And you think that through and say, well, who's going to ring that? Well, somebody who wants to buy a chainsaw, or somebody who wants to buy a wheelbarrow. That's common sense. Who's his target market? Well, his target market are people who want to buy a chainsaw or want to buy a wheelbarrow. He ran multiple ads every Saturday in the weekend shopper in the Courier Mail. He had them for all sorts of different things, power tools, electric saws, all sorts of things, with just a phone number and Stone's Corner. He didn't give them any other information. He certainly didn't say it was a hardware store. He certainly didn't give them an address. The people who were inquisitive had to ring the phone. He had so many phone calls coming in on a Saturday morning. He used to have multiple phones lined up, and he used to hire school kids that work on Saturday morning only just to answer the phones, and they'd say the same thing over and over again. Yes, it's still here, 391 Logan Road. Yes, it's still here, 391 Logan Road. And his shop was full of people wanting to buy. So I think the message there is, think about your advertising, go out with a very clear message, something that's going to attract your target market when they're ready to buy. To attract your target market when they're ready to buy. People, you know, would probably go to advertising school and they'd learn to do what we call body copy advertising. And advertising might look something like this. You'd have a headline to attract the attention. You'd have body copy to sell the product. You'd need to have a call to action or an offer. And you need the name and contact details. I've got to share with you that when I did paid advertising and yellow pages and newspapers and TV and radio, this strategy did not work for us. It did not work at all, right? Not as a display advertisement. It does work today. It works today because it's actually a brilliant strategy for the front page of your website. On the front page of the website, you should have a headline to attract attention, some body copy that sells your product, a call to action with an offer or an offer, a call to action, a reason for buying right now, with your name and contact details up there. And that's really, really, really important. So think that through, work it through. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk a little bit about the selling process. Salesmanship used to be a trade. I used to belong to an organisation called Salespeople with a Purpose. When I joined that organisation more than 30 years ago, it was very much about selling. The encyclopedia, the AMP, the insurance salespeople, all those professional salespeople belong to Salespeople with a Purpose. And there was a process that they taught which was called the selling process. Now, in this modern age of online technology, believe it or not, it hasn't changed. It's still the same. It's just been forgotten about and drifted into the background. But if you can understand the selling process and you can modernize it to the modern way that you sell your products, then you'll still nail it every time. And if it's one thing I believe every business owner or every entrepreneur really needs to know and understand, they need to know how to sell your product. It's the one thing that you really need to do. And you need to know how to sell your business and how to sell your product. So there's a four-step process. That four-step process starts with a thing called qualify the prospect. Qualify the prospect is about not wasting your time talking to somebody who's never ever going to buy from you. So before you spend your time and energy talking to somebody, it doesn't matter how you talk to them, whether you talk to them by email, by voice, or any method that you're talking to them, qualify them. Make sure that they are potential purchasers. There's a whole lot of different ways of doing that. For instance, if you owned a car yard, if you sold cars, people just walking onto the car lot are qualified by the fact that they walked onto your car lot. They've obviously come out to look at buying a car. That qualifies the prospect. But you need to go through it. In Mini Movers, we do it by using it's what we call the 3 W's. When people ring up, they say, "You're moving?" We say, "Certainly." When are you moving? Where are you moving? And what do you have to move? And if you can't answer all those 3 questions, you're not qualified. It means you're not ready to move. And we have a different sales pitch that we use for you. But if you know when you're moving, if you know where you're moving, and if you know what you got to move, then you are a very likely prospect, and we will go into the next stage of the sales process. And the next stage of the process is understand your situation, understand your needs. Start asking questions. Ask them about what they're doing. Ask them, and while you're doing that, we're listening. We're listening very carefully. Is this the sort of person that needs a lot of help on their job? Is this the sort of person that's going to have 10 people in the whole lot sitting on the front footpath when we arrive? You know, is this the sort of person that's going to have dirty plates in the sink and we expect us to wash them and pack before we pack them in boxes? What's this? And our customers range like that, by the way, from absolute extremes. What sort of moves is going to be? And on the judgment of what we're hearing, then we adjust what we talk to you about to suit your need and your situation. That's when we go to stage 3. When we present our products, we say, good, that's excellent. Well, this is what we can do for you. And we explain what we can do for you. And we do that with the benefits. And if we do it cleverly, we do it with the objections. We know what objections you've probably got. We know what your concerns are probably going to do. So we're upfront about it. We bring it out. We raise it. Right? we attack it. For instance, we are probably aware that if you've never used us before and you've never heard of us before, that you are extremely concerned about the hourly rate system as opposed to a fixed price quotation. We'll bring that out. We'll say, look, of course you're concerned about it. We'll raise the issue. The customer won't raise it. They sit there quietly. We'll bring it out. We'll put the elephant on the table and we'll deal with it. And we'll say, look, we understand you're probably concerned about that, and this is what we think of it. And we'll explain why our point of view around those objections. So you present it with the benefits and you present it with the objections. The last one, very interestingly, is the one that vast majority of people simply don't get. And it's so simple it's not funny, and it really is. You've got to ask for the sale. Some reason we seem to be so polite in our society that we simply don't ask for the sale. It's called the close. There are different ways you can ask for the sale. Our favourite way is to say, well, an arrival between 8 and 9 in the morning suits you. And that's an interesting way to close the sale, because if you say yes, we book it. If you say no, we immediately say, how about between 4 and 2 and 2 and 4 in the afternoon? So it's a soft entrapment close. It's a close that works for us, but you've got to develop ways to ask for the sale. Okay, I've told you everything. Now, are you ready to buy, or do you want to buy? Come on, let's get this thing going. Let's book it for you. Let's make sure you've got that time slot. So ask for the sale. So the 4 steps: qualify the prospect, understand their needs and situations, present your products, ask for the sale. All right, very quickly moving along. Communication 101, please, whatever you do, no Gmail, Hotmail style emails. Please use your URLs in your email addresses. If you're using Gmail, you immediately look like you're a free, very small micro business, and you don't want to paint yourself that unless you have a need for. But get rid of your Gmail, Hotmails. Use your URLs for your email addresses. You look a lot more professional. Answer your phone. Answer it immediately. We used to answer our phone 24 hours a day. We don't answer them between 5 in the morning and 10 at night now. Or sorry, between 10 at night and 5 in the morning. But we answer them with a human being that can provide the situation. We won't transfer a sales call to anybody. Whoever answers the call deals with it. And do the same way with your emails. You must react to your emails fast, as quickly as you can. React with an answer to their solution, and be there, be switched on. Show them that you know what you're doing, and you're ready, and you're organised. And always remember that the one opportunity that you miss, whatever call you miss, or whatever email you miss, or whatever email or call you're slow at responding time, will always be, according to Mr. Murphy, the biggest opportunity you would have ever seen. Talk very briefly about lead gen. Lead gen is where marketing is going nowadays, or where advertising is going, sorry, where advertising really is going. A lot of businesses are going over to a lead gen model. In my industry, of course, the yellow pages stopped working, so we're going across to what we call lead gen, or lead generation. It's the art of finding your customers before they purchase and getting yourself in front of them. I'm going to tell you 2 little brief stories about lead gen systems that I've been seeing lately, and I want you to think this through carefully, because there's massive opportunities out there to change your way. And what I'm going to talk about is aerial photographs of properties. There's lots of different ways you can do that. We all have seen Google Maps, of course, and you know that in Google Maps you can change it from a map view to a view of the photograph of your house, or the roofs of houses. There are around the place services such as a service called Near Maps in Australia. Near Maps do very high resolution photos that are very much up to date. But using some sort of source like that, I'm seeing lots and lots of rather innovative lead generation systems. So what you can see here is a photograph, an aerial shot of some houses. It just happens to be the house I have in Brisbane, Australia, by the way. And you can see the street, the name of the street is there, and the number of the street is there. So you know the mailing address of the house, but you can see the roof. And I, as many of you may know, do a lot of work, live in the Philippines nowadays, and do a lot of work with this great resource that's up here. And there's a business up here, an American business, that has 900 data miners measuring roofs. And what they're doing is they are doing it in the USA, they're not doing it in Australia. They're working their way down every single street in the USA, 900 of them, and they're putting little red dots on the corners of the roofs, the little peaks of the roofs and everything else. And those little red dots do an automatic measuring system. They measure the roof. They know the address of the roof, so they record the address of the roof. They measure the size of the roof. They record the type of roof. They can see the type of roof it is, whether it's tile or tin or whatever it is. And they can also record the condition of the roof. And they're building a database of every single roof in the USA, where they're at now, the size of the roof, the condition of the roof, and the address of the roof. And of course, there are a lot of businesses that can use that data to contact those potential clients and sell their products. So think about that very carefully. That's the type of things we're seeing here, and the marketing world is changing things. If you can see or detect your customer just before they need you, and then you can do something to contact them, that's the way marketing's going. It's going very, very direct into where you're going. This is another story. This is a story. It's actually had the product change just a little bit because the person I'm mentoring doing this has asked me to change that, but it's given me permission to talk about it. The business is based on the Gold Coast in Australia, and they sell something that's like a swimming pool. It's not actually a swimming pool, but it's something like a swimming pool. And we were messing around one day trying to figure out how can we improve the marketing when you want to buy this product. And we worked out that you can once again go into an aerial shot and you can work your way down the street, and you can see that this house here doesn't have a swimming pool but has a very small backyard. This house here has a swimming pool. This one here's got a swimming pool. This one's got a swimming pool. This one's got a swimming pool. But sitting in the middle here at number 13 is a nice big backyard with no swimming pool in it. So what they do is they take a snapshot or a screenshot of that, and then they take that screenshot and they paste it into a document, and they drop in a circle around it, and they put something in that's very similar to this. Is this your house? How about a pool or a spa in your backyard? Why don't you go online to this web address or phone us on this number, and we'll explain how easy it is to install your pool. Then they do, and that's all done in the Philippines by a human being who's going through every single street, finding every potential client because of the size of the backyard and the fact that they haven't got what they sell, taking a screenshot, doing that, and then doing a really neat thing. He's in the Philippines, he clicks print, and it's hooked up to a printer in Australia, and the printed document just drops out the printer. And what the Australian business owner does is once a day he goes to the printer, and they're all stacked up there, he gets them, takes them up to Australia Post, drops them in, and mails them out to the address. That's it. And when you, as a client, get this, you open it up, it's a shot of your house, which is something you don't often see, and guess what? You don't go straight to the trash bin. You stop and you look at it because it is a shot of your house. How unusual. And that's how he's getting his message through. And I can share with you that as a lead gen system for his products, this is working like you wouldn't believe. Guys, I'm exposed to hundreds and hundreds of different ways that you can market products nowadays. I share all that on the tours that I run. I share all these different resources, how you can do things. If you want to know more about anything, I'm happy to share that today. Email me, message me, contact me. Any of the addresses, just Google my name and you'll find me. Contact me, and I'm happy to share with you how I think you can sell your business in this modern age we're living in. So to finish off, what I'm going to do with you, I'm going to share with you 3 resources that online that you might want to use going forward. We've all got our favourite little things that we do. This is one called lynda.com, spelt with a Y, Lynda.com, lynda.com up here. Lynda.com charges, I think, about $24 a month or something like that. And I use that with all of my staff for training. I quite often hire people with no experience. They have the core skills for the job. They may need to know how to use a particular bit of software. It could be as fundamental as Microsoft Office, it could be Word, it could be Excel, it could be Microsoft Outlook, it could be anything at all. But Lynda has got thousands and thousands of little courses teaching you how to do that. It's a subscription model. My staff go in there an hour, 2 hours. Later, they know exactly how to do whatever it is we need to go forward. How to do everything. It's all in there. and lynda.com. So lynda.com is a fantastic little online software training program. It recently changed hands for billions of dollars, as these things do. It's been around for many, many years. It's one of my favourite ways of teaching my people something that we need to do to upgrade our skills as we're going along. It's fast, it's quick, you can use it anytime, you can sit down and use it. It's a great way to do that. In Australia, I think the foremost way of learning or getting up to date about what's happening around business in the smaller end of town, and also, believe it or not, the bigger end of town, although they do aim particularly for micro businesses, is a website called Flying Solo. It's free to use, it's free to join. It's stacked full of good stuff. I really enjoying reading their weekly newsletter thing that comes out. There's always something in there that I can use. This was a shot taken a long time ago. At this stage, they claim to have 48,000 members. I know today they've got a lot more than that. It's just a really good all-round, reasonably unbiased source of information and ideas to help you through your business. I think it's a great resource. That's why I'm recommending that you should have a second look at it. If you want to know where all the stuff in the markets are, every time you go to the Sunday markets and see all the cheap stuff, they come from this site here, Alibaba.com. As you are aware, it listed recently as one of the most valuable websites in the whole world. But what's not generally understood about Alibaba.com is it's not just about cheap products from China. It's really about anything that's being manufactured anywhere in the world. So if you're a manufacturer, list your stuff on Alibaba. If you're manufacturing, list your stuff on Alibaba. And if you want to buy anything, go to Alibaba to buy it. It's a good site. Have a good look around that. So that's Alibaba, spelt like the thieves, Ali, ALIBABA.com, Alibaba.com. Another good little resource that I've been using for many, many years, actually, to be honest with you. So to wind it up, and we'll go to questions shortly and take any questions you've got. To wind it up, I spend my days nowadays teaching Western businesses some of the great opportunities are if you hire somebody who can work for you for about $100 a week. And it's great what you can do with these people. Lots of people coming on tour. I just finished a tour last night. I had one a couple of weeks ago. On both tours, the one a couple of weeks ago and the tour that I've just finished last night, there were people that started whole brand new businesses. They didn't intend to. They were looking for something, not sure what. They figured out amazing ways that they can build business with these resources. So I want to take you through the three tour norms if you can. Look, most people that come on my tour convert some or part of their existing back office processes up to here. Normally they don't fire people to do it. Normally when people in Australia leave, they replace that role up in the Philippines. But most do that. Most of them also add some new processes to their mix of what they're doing. And I can share with you that in many movers, our entire employment process is run by a human being sitting in the Philippines. Who are vetting all of the job applications and making decisions who comes to interviews and who doesn't. And it's all done manually by somebody here. And we also have our marketing. We have a massive marketing machine that's run out of the Philippines, doing a lot of those lead gen things that I just shared before, doing that type of stuff, all done from up here. Brand new processes that I invented when I came up here from this great opportunity, processes that you couldn't possibly do in Australia or any other Western businesses. Look, that's most people do that. Several people also engage what we call specialised services, accounting, marketing and IT up here as well. They're a separate thing. You learn to do those. They all commonly charge $20 an hour. Yes, you can get accountants who only do work for Australians, businesses, and instead of charging you $300 an hour, charge you $20 an hour. We show you how to do that. You need to see it, by the way. You need to come and touch and feel these things rather than try and do them from afar. And the last one is a few people start new businesses, and currently we're seeing things like training Australianised workers, training people, Filipinos, and Australianising them for an industry, running processes for an industry, expanding sales into other countries, and inventing an entire new office. So that's typical of the sort of things that we cover on tour, and people that have been on tour will say, yeah, this is great, that's the way it is, and that's what they've done. So if I can finish up, As I said, I do run tours. I teach entrepreneurship as well. I teach you about the $100 a week workers and what you can do with those. So it's just not about offshoring. It is a massive dose of entrepreneurship and some business ideas and concepts. And you'll be sitting in there with me, and I'll be arguing how you need to delegate. You've got to get out of it. Stop working in your business. Please stop working in your business. Please delegate it out. That'll give you growth. It'll give you growth in income, and it'll give you growth in spare time, so you can go off and do some of the great things that you really want to do with your lives. So on that basis, I'm going to get my people to show me some questions, and I have a question here: how to set up how to set up the outsourcing support resource, please, step by step, and the management available for that. Well, to start with, the terminology outsourcing to me means giving one of your business processes to a third party and having them run that process and just giving the results back. That is a path to failure for most businesses, except for very large corporatized businesses who have got structured systems. So if your business doesn't have really structured systems and your business needs less than 20 seats, outsourcing them your process to a third party, unless it's a specialized service like accounting, IT, or marketing, isn't the way to go. It's got some things in that. So we teach that. Now that's a play on words, because what we actually really push up here is what we call offshoring. And offshoring is when you hire people that suit your business, often with all different skills as you've got in your business in Australia, put them together in one space so that they can all share with each other, and you put them together in one space, and then you come along and you educate them, train them, and work with them as your team, doing all your business processes for you. And they're your people in your space under your control. And that's called offshoring, and there's so many different ways you can about doing that, and there's so many different levels of support. Most of you need high level of support at start. You need levels of support to tell you what sort of software things you can use, what sort of different ways you can do that. So some providers have a high level of support at the start and then back it off with cost. Some providers don't give you any support and just supply the space, and some providers give you medium support. Nearly all of the offshoring, or what we call staff leasing providers, do the HR, because they are the legal employers of these people here. I don't want to confuse you with that. They need to do that. And some of them help you with the local Filipino to Filipino management of people. That's very difficult for you to do at the start as well. But good ones will teach you how to do that, so on time you can take over and do that yourself. They are, I know it's a short answer. If I could answer that question in 2 minutes on the phone, I wouldn't have to run a 3-day learning tour, where if any of those who've been on tour will say, look, it's 3 days of continuous on the go without a minute spare time. It takes me 3 days to show you all the different ways you can do it, all the points for and against how you do it, and how to get the results of that. But I'm happy to connect with you anytime and talk to you on the phone, and I'll give you a call back and talk to you one-on-one, because it's so varied in what your needs are and what solution best suits you. It's the best way of that. So is there an oval cost for a $100 a week tour, like a minimum term, and how does it run? Look, the tours at the moment are, I think, $2,900, but that includes a whole lot of stuff. That includes all your accommodation, food, and all sorts of things. So you should go online to Mike's Manila Tours and just put in your name. Emma will come back with a whole thing of what's included and not included and how it all works. And the rest of that question was, sorry about that. The minimum term, our tours run for 3 days. It's 3 days intensive learning. They all start on Monday morning. We recommend you come up on the Saturday afternoon. It gives you a day on Monday to settle down and be relaxed, because on Monday morning you're on. And it's on, and you're going from early in the morning to late at night without any spare time, and it's full-on learning, and we do that for 3 days. We finish at about 8:30 on Wednesday night. That's why this webinar is on a Thursday morning. At 8:30 last night we finished with the tour. So we go from Monday morning through to Wednesday night, 3 days of intensive learning. So I'd like to wind up now. I'd like to say that please take note that we have another one of these 1 hour sessions on the 4th of June. You will all get notification about that surely, certainly. Listen, guys, if you can all please share what I'm doing. I'm giving the seminars for free without any hook, with a 2-minute tour selling on the back of it, that's fine, but I really am, it's coming from my heart what I'm teaching the real stuff that's working for me without holding back. I do that. It works for pre-startups, it works for medium, small, large business, but anybody who's business orientated, my webinars are going to work with. So please share with what I'm doing. June the 4th is going to be the next one. The topic coming up is going to be, the next one's going to be about boosting productivity, accounting and accountability and success when offshoring. I've got a special offer for the tour. I can tell you that I'm coming back to Australia for a couple of weeks. I'm doing some speaking down in Australia next week and the following week. I'm speaking at quite a few places, flying to New Zealand where I'm doing a conference, and then coming back to the Philippines. My next tour is early June. The early June tour is completely fully booked, which is not unusual. We have a tour in July that's booked as well. So I think they're twisting my arm. I'm about to put one in later in June. So Emma's about to release a tour later in June. There is a special offer with tours. If you want to get a whole group of you together and come on the tour, for every friend that you book to come up with you on tour, will reduce the cost of your tour by $300. So if you book a full tour, and it's not unusual, we're getting quite a few people booking full tours, business groups, mentoring sessions, whole sorts of people are booking all of their people up on one of my tours. We run a special tour for them. What we do is we discount it back to the person who's organising it. They can discount almost back to the virtually free. We can run tours from specialised tours from 4 people through to 15 people. 6 people is our favourite number. We normally have 6. Anything over 8 needs another vehicle. But no matter what number you've got coming up, we can discount you back. And that offer applies to anybody who wants to organise a group coming up. So on that very things, thank you very much. I hope to hear from you and see you online again on June the 4th. Contact me. My email address is sitting up on the screen at the moment. Contact me about anything at all, ask questions. I'm more than happy to help with you, more than happy to Skype or ring you and give you any help. You know, no strings, no all, it's just me sharing. Thank you very much and enjoy your time. Let's get in and build businesses. Thanks, folks.